Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dutchy Gaming, and the last update for the Tornado Shot League Starter. It's day 5 or 6-ish now for me, and I've kind of got a resemblance of a build together that works quite well. It's going to be quite a short video because I'm going to spend the next couple of days working on a build guide. I would think in terms of investment, I've spent around 10 to 12 divines on the character, but I got a bit lucky with my bowcraft in that I skipped a 2 divine step. So I think somewhere between 14 to 15 divines is what the build's worth at the moment. The idea was to build it without omniscience and try and build the entire character for less than the amulet. And I think the amulet's about 18 divines. So it seems to work fine. And we have definitely come under that budget. Doesn't mean to say in 2 days' time that we'll be able to build the build for the same price. It's just what I was able to put it together for. And I do craft all the items myself, which saves you a lot of currency. So this will be a quick update really on my Atlas progress, character level, currency making strategies, Atlas tree, and then generally quickly go through my gear, but I don't want to spend too much time on it because there's still some gear I need to optimize and change. And then once I've done that, I'll be able to bring a fully fleshed guide out with, how to craft items, how best to utilize the build and things like that. So there's some highlights at the beginning of the video to sort of show the mapping and the single target capabilities of the build. In terms of tankiness, it certainly feels better than it did a couple of days ago. I would still like to get some more defenses into the build, but we managed to get the life up to 4,300. I've managed to get quite a bit of fizz taken as elemental. So we've got 14 on the helmet and then we've got 12 on the chest. So that's over a quarter of the physical damage we take. We'll just go to elemental where we've got our 75% resistances. And there's not much really that gets me into a lot of trouble. The only thing that's killed me, and I don't understand why, maybe it doesn't mitigate the damage or maybe they're unavoidable, are the rocks in the Minotaur fire. I can tank a massive slam from him. I can tank his burrow. When a rock falls on me, I just drop dead. I don't really understand it. I don't seem to remember having this problem in the past. But everything else is fine. I've done some juice mapping. I've done some juice invitations and the character's held up really well. I've taken some deaths because I charged at some very difficult content and I've been super juicing the Crucible every time and that kills me pretty regularly as it does with most builds. I was comfortably mapping along to sort of 60% at 95 and realized actually I don't need any more points. So we'll just start throwing the build content. If I wanted to, I could just do a normal mapping strategy and comfortably get up to sort of level 96, 97. But I don't really need the points at the moment. It's more about getting the currency to get the gear together. And I don't want to have to worry about deaths. Now, obviously, we have been tackling some very difficult content. So the deaths on the character will have ramped up. So we're now at 43 deaths in the entirety of the playthrough, which is not too bad. We've cleared the Atlas. We've got all but one favorite slot. We've done a few of the invitations. And as I say, I have been max choosing the Crucible to try and get as much experience as possible. So let's go through the gear first. So the bow is the bow I've always had, and I've managed to multi-mod it. It's basically a combination of some physical damage, but mostly lightning and cold damage. Then with the usual multi-mod of strength, intelligence, crit chance, and then I've crafted percent fizz. I got really unlucky with the percent fizz craft, and it went 102 out of 129. Also realized I have an ivory bow, which has lower fizz damage than a spine bow. So a couple of mistakes made by me here. But we've got a fairly decent Crucible tree apart from this node here. So 20% reduced flask charges gain is definitely noticeable. 12% increase effect is also noticeable when they're up. So if I had a Mage Blood, this node would be pretty good. As it is, I do sometimes notice the flask wear off if I'm not super juicing my maps. So the tree I've ended up with is a small amount of physical damage. We've got 30% increased attack speed, which is on the weapon, and then 50% less global damage. And then we've got 10% increased elemental damage modifiers. And it ends up being a pretty decent bow. It's over 2 attacks per second, around 8% crit chance, and around 900 to 1100 LE damage. I'm not exactly sure on the numbers, but it's pretty decent. The helmet's just the same one I've always been rocking. It's just essence crafted, very cheap. A couple of decent implicits and fizz taken as fire. The quiver, I've crafted another one. So we've now got T2 crit multi, crafted attack speed, T1 prod speed, T1 life, T1 damage of bows, and T2 physical damage to attack. So really, really nice quiver. Not particularly expensive to craft. I think I spent 2 divines on the quiver, if that. The amulet, same amulet as before that I bought ages ago for like 15 chaos or whatever it was. The rings are still cheap as well. They were just cheap fractured bases that I've spammed essences on. And then we've got some non-channeling skills and life. This, I will spend as little time on this as possible. I bought a new chest and recrafted it. This cost me 3 divines to craft. I would not include this in the cost of the build if I was you because I didn't need to do it. I stupidly thought, for whatever reason, that increased life wasn't a life modifier. So I thought I could run a chest like this and then take the 15% extra life if you don't have life on your chest. I don't know what I was thinking. I am a bit under the weather. I'm jet lagged still. So yeah, let's not talk about any of that. But essentially, you just want big resistances. Fizz taken as fire, Fizz taken as lightning. And then I've got Grace and non-curse auras. I'll probably change Grace to Hatred once to get a bit more currency. The boots, again, I've wasted loads of money and I didn't need to. I mentioned that I was going to look into the jewel to go ailment immune, and that's what I've done. And then along with that jewel, I basically just need 29% to be ailment capped. So what I thought I'd do was push my modifier up to exquisite. It was already at grand anyway, and it just took me forever to push it up, even with making sure it was the lower mod. I probably spent a divine elevating this one mod. Probably wasn't really necessary, but I wanted to not have to craft the suffix as well. So the take home of it is you just need to be ailment immune. You do not need to do all this faff that I've done and spend like 4 or 5 divines on your chest and boots. It was a waste of currency, if I'm honest. But I was really determined to get chaos resistance and another resistance into the boots, which meant I couldn't roll ailment immunity. So I do need to recraft the movement speed because it's the lowest tier that it can craft. So we may as well do that while we're here. This loves me. That'll do. Don't want to waste too much chaos. So then we have gloves. Again, these are just the same gloves. I just recrafted them with a couple of essences, a couple of ZL essences, and then some implicits. Stygian Vise, again, essence crafted. I wanted to get big resistances. So before I crafted it, I scoured it and put 4 prismatic catalysts on it to get the 20% resistance. And then just a fairly cheap Surgeon Nigel. So there's nothing other than the bow and the quiver really that costs that much money. Your boots and your chest don't have to. I just messed up a little bit. I think I was too determined to get this Fizz taken as elemental. I could have just crafted ailments on this, crafted ailments on my boots, and been done with it. So into the tree is where we get the more expensive parts, which is where half of the money went. So we've got this Ancestral Vision. We'll just have a quick look at what the price is now, because it was 1.5 divines yesterday. It was 2.7 when I bought it. Okay, so we'll check the price of jewel. It's actually gone down since I bought it, so it looks like it's coming back to normal again. So sort of 2.3, it'll probably keep dropping. We've got the Watcher's Eye, which I didn't pay that much for it, but again, I don't know how much it is now. I imagine these are plummeting in price because they're not particularly good. Early on in the league, they're going to be more expensive. So if we search for precision damage, 1.5 divines. Okay, so they're actually more expensive, 1.5 to 2. They've gone up quite a lot, which I'm surprised about because they're really not that great at Watcher's Eye. So I'm not even sure I'd bother with this for 2 divines. I'm going to say most of my money went on this tree here. Rocking the same cluster jewel, which was a divine. Again, you don't need this. An 8 passive bow cluster would do, and they're much cheaper. This was a divine, but it's quite a rare roll, so it's probably even more. I wouldn't waste the money with that. And then, yeah, no other jewels in there other than a brutal restraint that cost me a divine, which has got onslaught and kill and lots of juicy crit damage, things like that. However, now I look back at what I've done, the jewel plus the money I spent on the chest and the boots, I really don't think is worth it for ailment immunity. I think it would have been better just to spend a little bit of money like on the boots I had previously, get 55% ailment on boots, and just craft it on chest and accept that we're going to lose 12% Fizz's Ellie, and maybe do this stuff later. I think spending sort of 5 divines probably on the chest, boots, and the jewel combo is a bit of a waste of money. So actually looking at it, it is about the price of an Omniscience for the build, but you'd obviously have to get all the other stuff that you need to go with Omniscience, fix your accuracy issues, your life issues, your mana issues. So I'm really happy with the way the build's turned out. It just breezes through most content, in all honesty, and it's been a joy to play. There's not really much more to go through in terms of links. None of that's changed. The only thing I've done is I've dropped Ensnaring Arrow because people have informed me that it doesn't actually work on single target when you've got chain, because it won't hit the target, it will chain off, and it won't tether. So I've just swapped it for Culling Strike to at least get some benefit from our Frenzy. So we're going to get power charges, full Frenzy charges, and Culling Strike, all from this 4 link. It's really nice. So my Atlas, I've just got a couple of unique maps left to go. And in terms of invitations, I need to do the Feared, I need to do the Synth invitation, and I need to do Elder Slayers. I've just killed Sirius, as you saw in the highlight. So we've got all our favorite slots other than the Feared. In terms of Atlas strategy, I'll link a video in the description below. This is more of a beginner Atlas strategy, but obviously I league started late. Didn't really have any currency to go juicing, so just wanted a simple strategy. I found one that Snoo ran for 100 mats, made quite a bit of currency, and it looked nice and easy and laid back. For someone who's feeling a little bit under the weather, so that absolutely fit the bill. And I have made a few divines an hour doing it. It's all mostly bubblegum stuff, but you do get the odd big drop, and it's all stuff that sells really, really easily. If the Exile altars ever recover and their currency comes worth money, then it becomes an even better strategy. But you'll make money doing pretty much anything else if you want to juice, use Scarab, Sextants. But I just didn't really have the funds to do it, and I wanted to get my build finished rather than worry about trying to do a mapping strategy when my build's not quite up for it. That's kind of it for the very quick update. As I say, I will be working on a build guide. So what we'll do is just a very quick Jungle Valley map just to show the strategy. And as I say, it is nothing very complicated. It's all fairly straightforward. I am a bit slower because I'm also using Crucible because I would like to replace the passive tree on my bow with a better one. So we'll just stick that in with Exarch Influence. And then the idea is just to, spawn a load of altars, get a lot of minion bonuses, loot the map, and get out. It's fairly simple. And I'm definitely happy with the onslaught from the Brutal Restraint. I think Lethal Pride is definitely the way to go. It's more damage without a doubt. It also gives you strength that you then don't necessarily need on gear. But then I'd need like maybe an unreliable onslaught on kill. And I'd rather have one that's up all the time. This is guaranteed on kill and it lasts 8 seconds. So it's actually really nice. And you can get some decent stuff on Brutal Restraints. We've got plenty of crit chance, elemental damage. We've got some projectile damage, extra life, loads of good stuff on it. And it was just a divine. It wasn't an expensive Brutal Restraint, but it has worked really well for my build. So as you can see, it is a case of just running through and clicking the button. I've got my flasks automated now so that they fire when I'm full. But as I mentioned, I have got that downside from my tree, which is a shame because it does mean that flasks aren't popping like every other second, which I like to see. So in areas where you are in between mobs, you may not have the flask charges you need to keep them up. So that's why I'm on the hunt for another tree. So we'll do this map. So there's no boss to kill on this map because we don't bother killing the boss on this sort of strategy because he's tucked away in his cave. He's all phased. I can't be bothered with him. And it doesn't really bring anything. We get the maps to drop from the connected monsters. So we just need to find the Crucible Forge and then we can get it sorted out. Here it is. Okay, so we will channel. I don't know if you can channel. I'm assuming you can do these weapons. You can. Now, this is probably not going to let me go to max because it's got a high item level. We may not make it. Come on, you can do it. We did, but this is lethal, so this is probably going to kill us. That's close. Are we done? I think we're done. We are done. So what do we get? Fire, cold, and lightning, not very good. Increased evasion and accuracy, really low tier. Cells from magmatic orb, not worth doing. Strength and intelligence. Projectiles can fork. And bleeding, about the worst base ever. Right, that will do for that. That's kind of it for the video update. There will be a build guide in a couple of days. It's going to be very similar to this. I don't plan on spending much more because the build is more than capable of farming everything that I want to do. And I'm still not entirely sure I'm sold on Omniscience this league, so I might maybe try and come up with another way of playing the build. Thank you very much for watching and come along with the journey. That'll be it for kind of the update videos. Future videos are going to be build guides, new builds, farming strategies, hints and tips maybe for newer players. I haven't worked that out yet. If you've got any ideas, please put it in the comments in the video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.